Welcome to a new edition of If I Ever Live to Be. Today I have Adam Lewis, and he is president of Risk Consulting Services. Adam and I have known each other for coming up on 6 months.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's funny, Adam, because I'm like always thinking prior to the show, like how I'm going to intro this. And typically with people who are way smarter than I am, I use the line of when you're not the smartest person in the room, you're in the right room. So I'm back in the right room today.
Stop it. I've just got you fooled. That's all. So,
Well, thanks so much for joining me on the show. And to all of our listeners, you are probably like Risk Consulting Services. Just hang with us. Don't turn it off. You're probably like, I don't even know how to spell actuary. That's okay. We all got to start somewhere. So that's a good place. That's like the cheesiest segue ever. But Adam, if you will, tell us about Risk Consulting Services and exactly what you do.
yeah, for sure. Look, and if you think it's tough hearing about actuaries, imagine what it's like being one. So, it's no fun at all. No, I have the good fortune of working with some folks as the president of Risk Consulting Services. We're an independent actuarial and claims consulting services firm. As you and I have discussed recently, we've been kind of branching into some more data analytics as well. But yeah, big picture, we just try to help clients who are trying to quantify the uncertainty around their retained risk. And so specifically what that looks like is, you and I and most people have a deductible on our personal healthcare coverage, for example. And you can think about our clients are like that, but just at a much larger scale. So they're going to retain their first X dollars of every loss for workers' compensation or general liability or auto liability, these commercial lines of coverage, as well as medical stop loss, for example. And we just help them understand what they're retaining, the actual amount, like what the numbers are. And then really where we try to pride ourselves is trying to find some trends in the data and make them aware of kind of the human impact of those numbers as well, not just numbers on the page. So it's a constant struggle and battle to figure out a way to communicate these things in a clear manner to folks who are not in it every day. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm blessed to be able to do it.
Yeah. So what kind of businesses, and I realize that's kind of a big question, right? Because
Yeah.
it's type of business, but it's also like there's probably a certain amount of income there where you really have to start digging into this.
Yeah.
What are the businesses that should be concerned with that? Like, who should be calling you saying, "I need you to take a look at this for me"?
Yeah, the easy one to begin is anybody in the insurance business is going to need some form of an actuary in some way, shape, or form. So the carriers themselves, they already know they need an actuary. The insurance carriers, that is. The brokers, we support a lot of brokers on kind of front end analytics. But then beyond that, our corporate self-insureds, which is I think what you were asking about, it's going to be companies who either are being forced to retain risk. In other words, the insurance carriers are telling them we're not going to write your first dollar coverage anymore. You need to own some of this risk yourself. Or there's someone who's looking to strategically optimize their insurance program and reduce costs. There might be an option to fully transfer all your risk, but the cost just may be prohibitive. And so they're saying, hey, maybe we could retain some of this instead of paying for an insurance carrier to pay for it for us. And there's associated expenses and profit provisions. And we can come in and help them analyze whether or not it makes sense to do that.
Yeah. When I forgive how this is gonna sound of me making it more elementary because it's not, it's complex. I almost feel like when you go into these conversations, in it, what's interesting enough is my industry is very much the same. I always say when I go to like a networking event, I try to avoid the word marketing because I feel like everyone hears me saying I'm a real estate agent and everyone knows one and they run out of the room, right? I feel like it's like they heard insurance and they're just like, "Nope, done, don't need it." Even though there are so many layers to this.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've noticed about risk consulting services and a lot of what you talk about, Adam, is that difference between buying insurance and then like actual strategy to it, like the risk management and the risk function. Can you explain the difference a little bit there?
For sure. So, on paper, there's really two options. One is, yeah, you buy the insurance, or two, you have some program in which you decide, I'm not going to pay for every dollar of insurance. I'm going to retain some of it on my balance sheet and make a bet that ultimately, by doing that, I'm going to pay less than I would otherwise. Now, there's a lot of different parts of that equation, but what it comes down to is you need to understand not only the expected cost that you're retaining, but also try to quantify the volatility that is, inherent in retaining these liabilities. Depending upon the liability, there can be what we call tails, or the payment patterns can last for 10 to 20 years on claims. And so it may seem like you made this great decision up front to self-insure, only to have it to deteriorate down the line. And as actuaries, we're paid to help guide you and think through what that whole life cycle kind of maturity looks like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I love that because a lot of our listeners do run businesses, and I feel like that's so key to really standing out, right? It's like, there's a lot of people who do what I do, and you probably feel the same, but there is something about that added value and benefit of, just, the minds behind it, if you will, that gives a little bit of, extra value there. So I love that differentiation. Um, okay, if I can pick your brain about a little something else. It's a hot topic. I know everyone's talking about it right now, but it's impacting all of us differently. So, can you share a little bit about AI and how this is playing into your business?
I thought you were going to say everybody's talking about actuaries, but I guess I'll talk about AI. That's fine.
They do. They do. It's a dinner table conversation
That's
every
right. Everybody's got one, right? Yeah, no. So yeah, AI, I mean, and how it's going to impact what we do. I think for your listeners, what's most interesting, I think, is like, how does it impact how you purchase insurance maybe moving forward? Like, what does that look
Yeah,
like? And I think AI is going to help our insurance carriers be more skilled and nimble and underwriting the risk and providing policies that are more bespoke. So if you are a top performer and you do a great job in controlling your risk, I think over time you're going to pay less because of the advantages that AI provides. On the flip side, if you're getting the benefit right now of kind of hiding behind the rest of the industry who's maybe performing better than you, that will get found out, I think, eventually. So on the pricing side, forward looking, there's a lot of advents there. And then, in our business, I think there's probably other folks that listen that have similar processes. There's repeatable processes, there's back end stuff that we do, very similar each and every year. And there's questions around, how can AI help us in that regard? And I want to be clear, I don't think it's ever going to replace the need to take your time, think through that work. But I do think it can actually help in two ways. One, it could probably speed up some of that process. But two, and perhaps most importantly, it can catch things that you may not have otherwise caught. And so it can kind of get into the data quicker than a human would be able to, and then quickly get to some potential pitfalls that may have, kind of gone by the wayside otherwise. So I view it as a value add. Uh, I think long term in our industry, just like others, you're going to have agents that are there with you. So, in other words, there's something, an AI bot or whatever that can somewhat think like you, for lack of a better term, and propose things to you. But again, I don't ever foresee it replacing what we do, just augmenting what we do in a favorable way.
absolutely, for sure. All right, now on to Adam.
Yes.
Uh, Tell us about Adam. When did he wake up one day and decide, "I wanna be an actuary"?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually. So I started out as I switched my major a bunch in college, but I guess I'll just jump to the end. I landed with math and economics, and then a minor in Spanish of all things.
And you have
And
a double major, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I got a couple degrees from Mercer and Macon.
Yeah.
It was great. I love Mercer, but yeah, my senior year, I was talking to who ended up being my best man. He's a life insurance salesman, and I was talking to him like, "Hey, thinking about this actuary thing. I just heard about it. Seems like it's a good blend of business and math." And, he's on the sales side. He's like, "You don't want to be an actuary. You're gonna be stuck in a room all day doing this stuff, not talking to people. Like, you're gonna hate it." And I was like, "Okay, sounds terrible. I don't want to do that at all." So my senior year, we took this probability and statistics course, and the professor said, "Those of you that are doing well in this class should consider becoming an actuary." And this just goes to show the extreme level of intellect I have. In front of the entire class, I just repeated what my friend told me and was like, "That's a big waste of time. Who'd ever want to study for those exams? It's a big waste." Well, flash forward, I get out of school and I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm a fraternity consultant for my social fraternity, travel around the country, starting new chapters of FIDEL. And while I'm on the road, I start dating my now wife again pretty seriously and decide I need to make more than beer money every 2 weeks. So decide to start studying for these exams. And yeah, honestly, where it all started was this idea that was kind of imprinted into my mind from my father-in-law of if you go this route, you could potentially either lead an organization or run a small business in this space, and that could be something that could be appealing. And I thought that would be kind of cool. And so that kind of bigger interest dovetailed with the interest I had in math. And then I got really lucky in finding a consulting avenue throughout this whole thing. And I really, really enjoy the work that we do. I love the math. I love solving problems, but I also really love not only speaking to clients and delivering results and engaging with them, but also building the teams that support that too. So there's just a lot, and the problem really is that I like it like a lot, and so you have to kind of figure out how do you turn it off. But look, it's a blessing, and the whole career has been great, honestly. So
That's interesting. So many of our positive decisions in life, it's the voices around us, right, that can either be dangerous or encourage us to, go down the path that we think is right. That's interesting.
yeah.
Um, okay, so you did that, and then you had this opportunity to kinda take that next level with risk consulting services. So, can you kinda walk us through that transition?
Yeah, for sure. So I the first job I got in the actuarial space was at a small consulting firm. It was through a friend of mine who was we knew each other in high school. We got to know each other better at Mercer. Actually, I was driving her home one day from Mercer, and she's like, "My dad's an actuary." I was like, "Oh, get out of here! I didn't know that." So we connected. I worked for him for about a year and 9 months. His name's John Humphreys, great guy. Gave me a shot. I can't thank him enough for that. And then went and worked for Oliver Wyman. And so at the time, I just wanted something that was a little bit yeah, kind of more on the client side. Where I was at before was a little bit more regulatory focused, which is great, but I wanted to just kind of feel the other side too. So worked for Oliver Wyman and found a great niche. The PNC team at Oliver Wyman is fantastic. They kind of bred me to be an actuary very quickly, which I was very appreciative for. And then there was a real big entrepreneurial bent there too, which I loved as well.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. That was from 2015 till last year. And I'd mentioned at the beginning, I kind of always had this thought in the back of my mind, like maybe one day I'd like to try the entrepreneurial route and give it a shot. But it had to be the right situation for the right reasons at the right time and everything like that. And honestly, it's kind of a God thing. I could just kind of showed up at the right time. Um, and and really it became a situation where I got to know Rick, who founded the company. And his story is fascinating. We'll have to talk to him at some point too. But
Yeah.
starting it out with a young family from nothing and building it to what it was super impressive. So I got to know him, just have a great relationship, and yeah, just with him being the person that's there, his client base being stable, I felt like it was worth the risk. And when we got into it, what we've found so far is that it's been a really good match, and we've been really fortunate to have the opportunity to serve the folks that Rick has served for a long number of years, and a lot, to my knowledge, at least, they've all welcomed me with open arms, which has been great, and very very appreciative of it. But yeah, I mean, to go back to your point, I did purchase the firm in July of last year, and yeah, the way that looks kind of in a professional services organization is you don't just flip a switch. It's not like I bought a manufacturing plant or something like
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah, I effectively Rick and his wife Geneva and I joke like we got married last summer, like that's how this went. Well, I'm living in Rick's life, right, effectively, and he's living in
Yeah.
mine, and nothing was more prevalent, than when we had our son actually about 4 months after I bought the business, and Rick, to his credit, stepped in, gave me some time off, really just took the reins of some projects that were in flight, in early November there. I got some time with my family, which I'm very appreciative of him for that. And, yeah, just been great. And yeah, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So now we're, not only just with Rick, but even with our clients, it's very relational. And that's the thing that I wanna, even back to the AI front, is, like, we're still solving human problems for
Right.
humans, right? Even though it's math, even though it's statistics and, Excel-based stuff, whatever, it is a human problem that you're solving at the end of the day. And I think until we get to the point where it's machines talking to machines, and it may get there one day. I'm not saying it's not gonna get there, but it may get there. But until it's to that point, there's always gonna be a need for folks, in our position. We're very happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can attest to that just with our interactions. I mean, it's very relational, just the touch points and the conversation, and so, I can see that represented through all that you do with RCS. So, um, all right, so we talked a little bit, we kinda hinted on the family side, but, I'm interested, because this is just always fascinating to me because you're right, I mean, just, I think probably running a business, there are certain aspects that are hard to understand about it if you've just never been there and lived it. If you have a business partner, you really do kind of sort of feel like you're married, right? There's so much of your businesses that interconnect there. You have your beautiful wife. We've got 3 kids. The youngest, I think we said, was just 6 months old.
That's right. Yep.
So talk to us about what it means to be a husband and father and running a business at the same time. And I give you permission to share about your recent run did together
Oh,
as
yes.
a as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
family.
That's right. Yeah, what you're alluding to is we just hit the 6-month mark, as you mentioned, with our son, and as of after that point in time, he can run now in a jogging stroller officially. And so my wife ran marathons before she had kids, and so yeah, it's been a big part of our life. So to get her back out, she pushed him, I pushed the two girls in double stroller. We had our first run as a family of five. That was a lot of fun this past weekend. So it was great. But yeah, look, I think, like, for me, and I'm sure it's the same for most parents that are working. Like, it's all interconnected. Like, there's the lines are a little bit blurred, and what I mean by that is not just the time and are the weekends actually the weekends, and it all kind of blends together. But there's also, like, the purpose behind it all is kind of interconnected, interwoven. So what I mean by that is when I think about what I want my kids to remember me for, or think of me
Yeah.
as, like, succeeding at this is a big part of it. And it's not because I want them to see, like, "Oh, dad checked that box and that's the end of it." It's more of like what it requires you to become at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, this it's tough. Like, it pushes every insecurity you have. It's like stretched to the max,
Mhm.
and it demands that you become a better person.
Mm.
Um, and we had our third on the way, and my wife and I just we got to a point we were worried, candidly, like, about having third and buying the business and everything else too.
Yeah.
And we just got to a point where we're just like, we were always thankful, we were always appreciative of it, but we just said, we're gonna have to just grow. Like, we're just gonna be different people after this. It's just what's gonna have to be, and we just got to have faith that God's gonna push us in a direction that we're better people than what we were before, and that we're still connected, and that whatever the new versions of us are, we're still us, and we're still together. But yeah, so it's all interconnected, and I love it. So it's good.
No, I love that, and, yeah, you're so right, you're so right. It does, it blends, and I think as, husband and wife, you have to be on you are on the same team. You have to be on the same page about that as well, right? Even with my husband, just, uh, the workday ends at 5 for one of us, and sometimes, the other, it could bleed into, like, 7 o'clock if there's a big project or something like that that needs to be, turned in. But just having that communication, and there's even different struggles, there's pros and cons to everything in this world. The struggles that he has at work are different than mine, and so it's good to just be able to kick ideas back and forth and get advice. But it is different. You do have to be on the same page.
Yeah, 100%. And that's tough, and it changes.
Yeah,
That's the hard part is, like, you can't really make hard, fast rules anymore. It is like if then statements is kind of how this whole thing works,
yeah,
like just iterative. So yeah, it's tough, but it's definitely worth it, and that's the nice thing. It sounds like, you kind of a similar thing where if you have the support, then it's all
yes,
good. And
yes.
yeah, in getting my exam done for becoming an actuary, my wife was there by my side the entire time too. And that's what people always ask me is like, how'd you get through the exams or what'd you do? And I was like, well, if I didn't have her support, it would have been just me in a room studying math a whole bunch. And then afterwards, like, well, what do I do now? And that didn't, it would not have, I would not have been able to, push as hard as I did without her there. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And they're typically, if you do have that support, Scott's great on like, okay, it's time for you to step away from the computer, right? Let's go outside, let's go for a walk, maybe go get some ice cream before we go to Orange Theory and burn it off,
yeah,
something like that.
that's right. And
Um,
sometimes it's nice like that. Sometimes it's direct.
yes,
Oh, you need to get it together. Okay,
yeah,
good. All right, I will. Thank you. So,
appreciate it.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. So before I let you go, just two more questions, Adam. One of them just kind of inspired by what you just said, but if you had a one-on-one with a friend that was in your similar situation, and that could be trying to balance multiple things. Maybe it's stepping into ownership, maybe it's hiring. Take it and kind of answer it how you would like. But what's your number one piece of advice that you would share?
The thing I keep coming back to recently is always remember you have agency. And I personally have a tendency to compare myself to other people or
Yeah.
find the negative side of things. But if you can just remind yourself you're a distinct human who has authority over whatever it is you want to do, for some reason that mentality has helped a lot. So that might be where I am today to encourage folks to
Yeah.
just remember that things, yeah, may seem tough or have been bad in the past or whatever, but it's like you still always got the chance to make a choice to improve the situation. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that answer. Brings quite a bit of freedom with it.
Yes, that's exactly right. So long as you execute.
Yes.
That's
You're
yeah,
right. You're right.
yeah.
So I don't think I told you this, but if I ever live to be is really it's almost like this oxymoron because I typically tend to title the episode with like the inspiration I got out of it. So like the example I'll often give is brave. If I ever live to be brave, I don't really think brave is a destination, right? I think that's like an ongoing thing. We kind of have to wake up every day and make that decision.
Choice, yeah.
um, you alluded to this a little bit with, like, that legacy that you wanna leave behind for your children, but,
Yeah.
what would what does Adam wanna live to be? Like, what does Adam wanna be known for?
Hmm, that's a good question. Um, yeah, I think I wanna be someone who stuck out the work, family, personal wellness, and faith. And so at all times those are stressed. But yeah, someone who was just complete in each of those areas and did everything he could to try to help others that are on that path as well. But yeah, lead by example is hopefully where that ends when it's all said and done is my hope. So we'll see. But fingers crossed.
Awesome. Well, I think you're well on your way to that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on, Adam. I don't want to end the episode without giving you the opportunity for folks to reach out and either connect with you or learn more about risk consulting services.
Yeah, no, thanks, Whitney. And look, I think most people who own businesses are not going to need their own actuary. I'm fully eyes wide open on that. But there are a lot of folks who have an interest in math or they've got a kid that they know is interested in becoming an actuary. And I'm always happy to talk to folks about the profession and what we do. But yeah, my email address, adam.lewis@riskconsultingservices.com. And then my phone number, 678-234-8926. You can call or text me anytime. And if I miss you, I'll get right back to you.
Awesome. Hey, you know what? I view it as you never know who's listening. Somebody may know somebody who knows somebody. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks for coming on today, Adam.
Thanks so much, Whitney. I appreciate it. This is great.